Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Love and Light Show, where your special guest is Csajko, and she's here to talk all about sexual shame, body shame, and how we can release all that and be vulnerable so that we can get real and be our true authentic selves and live a life that's super awesome and amazing from that. So this is definitely for you if you're dealing with any of those issues, if you're feeling a lot of shame or guilt or just not worthy in your body or in your skin, you're just having those kind of negative thoughts going through your head. We're here to help you out with that today and let go and release those things. She has a really awesome exercise at the end for us as well to help us move through that process of releasing that shame or guilt or that negative sexual stuff that we have going on for ourselves. And I encourage you guys to say hi as you pop on live. So we have 2 people on live right now, so definitely say hi to us as you jump on. Even if you're catching the replay, we love to engage with you and see who's on with us. And we're on the Be Live platform, so we can't actually see you as you pop in. You have to say hi. So always feel free to ask any questions or comment along the show as well. And I'm Laura McPhee. I'm a happiness coach and healer, and I'm now saying transitioning to Joyful Goddess, as that's coming more and more into focus of what that whole new version of myself is going to look like, new offerings, new programs, and I'm super excited to start launching more and more of those things. So excited to do that. So I love empowering women through self-love and care, and I'm going to continue doing that on deeper ways and deeper levels so that we can really just fully and completely love ourselves, love what we see in the mirror, accept ourselves, just be that change that we want to see in the world so we can then share our light with others, share it with our friends and our family members and our partners and our kids, and just really be that light and that difference that we want to be so we can make these positive waves of change that we're wanting in our own lives, in our communities, and then the whole world. And that's also what the Love and Light Show is all about. I introduce you guys to different light workers and healers and spiritual badasses who are doing amazing work in the world so you can be connected with your tribe, with your people, the ones who are here to help you on your journey so that you can be the best version of yourself and you can be that change that you want to see in the world on a regular and consistent basis. So our wonderful guest today is here to talk all about all this amazing stuff. She's a self-love coach for women who want to really break up with their old people pleaser mentality, and I'm totally guilty of the old people pleaser, totally been there, don't want to do that anymore. So if you're ready to let go of that and start to step into your true badass, amazing as fuck life, definitely stick around for her awesomeness. And we have so many amazing people popping on live. So hi, Christy. Hi, Tabitha. Hello, Robin. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. And there's lots of people on live now. We have 8 people. So definitely the new people popping on live, say hi. We love to engage with you. Let us know how your day's going. And Jen, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really well. I just got back from vacation, so I'm feeling rested and relaxed and ready to talk about all this fun stuff.
Awesome. I love it. I'm so excited. So let's dive right in and learn about your story and your background. How did you get to where you're at today?
Well, it's been a long, long road. But I would say that my relationship around my body shame, my sexuality, all that stuff, really being visible and feeling like I can show up as my true authentic self, all that stuff has really been unraveling for me in the past year. Growing up, I grew up in a chaotic situation, had a lot of family dysfunction, and I took on this persona of having to be the perfectionist good girl because I never wanted to cause any more stress in my family. And as far as body shame and sexuality and all that stuff, I grew up with a mom who was always criticizing her body. She was always on a diet or deeply ashamed of her body. And I just remember, hearing all of that and looking at her and being like, I don't see what you see. I see a beautiful woman. Why are you always so critical of yourself? And I also grew up Catholic. So when you grow up Catholic, there's a lot of rules, I guess you could say, around what you should and shouldn't be doing. So yeah, just to put it nicely, there's a lot of rules. And, we never talked about sex in my house growing up. I was taught that sex is bad, sex is shameful, that you should wait till you're married, virginity is praised, all of that stuff. So yeah, so I internalized like all of this stuff that was going on around me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of turned into who I am today and having to kind of unravel all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my journey, I'm sorry, I'm echoing really bad again.
Oh no. Do you want to pop out and pop back in?
Yeah, let me pop right back off and I'm going to pop in because I can't think straight.
No worries. That sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you.
And for everyone who's watching, put your hand up, put it in the comments if you can relate to being a people pleaser, you can relate to being that perfectionist, that good girl in your life or in your family. I want to know. And we have like a bunch of people on live right now. So definitely engage with us. Let us know if you can relate to these stories, if you've like felt really constricted in your like sexuality, if that wasn't talked about. Definitely put your hand up and say yes for that if that was going on for you. And we had more people pop on live. Hello. And Deanne said hello. All kinds of people popping on. And I encourage them to say yes or like put their hands up if they can identify with that people pleaser. I totally can. Growing up, had to be people pleaser, had to be that perfect little good girl, straight A student. Like anything that I thought that other people would accept me as, that's what I had to like tightly make myself in a little box.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think that, oh my God, the echo is still there.
Oh no. Maybe if you like turn your volume down, if you turn it down, then you might not hear yourself as much. And let us know in the comments if you guys are hearing an echo, if it sounds okay for you. Sometimes I listen to replays and it sounds totally fine and it was just like weird for us, but sometimes it affects you guys too. So definitely know how the sound is for you guys.
It's just so distracting when you're trying to think and it's like I can hear myself. Okay, let's try that. Okay. So yeah, so all that stuff, it was like the perfect storm of just really never feeling like I was good enough, never feeling comfortable in my body, never feeling comfortable with my sexuality, feeling just deeply ashamed of who I was as a person and as a woman. And I remember in high school, my body started to change and I started to get hips and a butt and all of the boys, you know, making comments and then just feeling like just so ashamed of my body, just so deeply ashamed. And, you know, that turned into the constant yo-yo dieting and, you know, all of this stuff, all the things. And I think what really like was the straw that broke the camel's back for me is when I was a freshman in college, I was sexually assaulted. And that was kind of just like everything leading up to that. And then that just like really broke me wide open. Like that was the lowest of my low. And I had to hit rock bottom so that I can start to like undo all of these things. And not to say that, you know, you need that kind of, you know, traumatic event to happen to you. But for me, that was my rock bottom. And I was able to really dive into this world of self-development and healing and starting to unravel, because all these things are so deeply intertwined and I needed to start unraveling each one. So over the past year, that's really when I've started to dive on this like deeper level of healing. And it started with putting on a lot of weight for myself, and getting curious about that. Like, what was the weight trying to teach me? What was it trying to show me? Instead of like beating myself up about it, like it wasn't coming off. So finally I'm like, all right, what is it trying to tell me? What is it trying to communicate with me? And getting curious about that, and then getting curious about where my thoughts around my body come from, where that story around being ashamed of my body, and then, you know, being ashamed of my sexuality. So it's all intertwined, and it could be a little messy and overwhelming when you're trying to unravel it all, but like, you know, just one thing at a time, and it will all kind of come together and fall into place.
So. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And other people were saying that it does sound good on their end. So as long as it's sounding good for you too. And we got all kinds of good. And Robin says, I hid behind my weight. I was sexually assaulted at a young age, and that messed me up bad. Yeah. And I can relate to that too. Like, I was molested when I was younger, and that was a huge shame thing for me. And I didn't want to tell anyone about it. And that was like a huge thing that I like hid. And I remember when I first told my like partner at the time about it, I was like super, super shameful about it. I was like, pinky promise you won't tell anyone. And I'm like, I feel like this is a huge block to like sexuality and open me up in these ways and like doing all this stuff. And like a year later, I was talking about it publicly, and I have no problem sharing it with clients and people now, because it's so important for people to know that it's not our fault. That like it's something that is being brought up to the surface. If it's triggering you at this point in time, for you to heal so that you can just release all that shame and all that negative energy so that you can like live the life that you're meant to be living.
Yeah, I think so many women live in shame. I mean, when the whole Me Too movement came out, it was like, it was just like the floodgates open, and it was such a strange time, because it was like, on one hand, I was just so happy to know that I wasn't alone, like something that I had been so ashamed of. But on the other hand, it made me so sad to see like that all of these women had gone through this, and we all lived in such deep shame about it, and it was not our fault. So yeah, I didn't tell anybody for 4 years after it happened. I kept it to myself, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't get any help. I didn't have any support, and I just internalized all that deep shame. So
yeah, that's terrible. But it's good that you're like on the other side. And like that's the empowering thing about it, is that the things that can be our rock bottoms, are like absolute worst things, have like so many lessons on the other side, and they can be like the most inspirational story for other people who need to hear it. So it's awesome that you can share it, and that you can like be that light for people who need it in their lives.
Exactly. And like you said, now I have no problem sharing it. I'm so open about it. And that's the thing. It's like when you keep it hidden and in a dark corner, like it just festers like a wound, like an open wound. So it's good to get it out in the light and to share and to get that support that you need. I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yes, definitely. And Robin's agreeing. I also didn't tell anyone. So yes, anyone who's watching this, who's like feeling called to share, like reach out to anyone that you're feeling called to. If it's one of us, awesome. If it's like a friend, awesome. If it's like anyone that you trust in your life, or like someone else that you've like been seeing pop up over and over, like tell someone. It's not your fault. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And like if anyone has said anything shitty to you about it, because I've had some women who are like, I tried to tell one person and they reacted horribly, like find someone else. Like they're not in a place where they can hold space to help you move through it and protect you and create this like holding space for you to grow and heal from it. So like move on to someone else who can, and don't take any of that personally.
For sure.
So how do you help your people release their body shame and move forward from all the shame that they're feeling in their life?
Well, I think definitely the first part is identifying where the shame is coming from. Like what's the story you're telling yourself? Where did it come from? How did it formulate? And like, how have you internalized that? What have you made that mean about you?
Right.
So I think definitely number one is identifying what the shame is and where it comes from. So that way you know.
Yeah.
And then it's really getting in touch with your inner child and figuring out like, what does she need in this moment?
Yes.
You know, that girl who was feeling ashamed of her body in high school, or that girl who was binge eating, or the girl who was feeling ashamed about her sexuality. Like, get in touch with that girl and ask her, like, what does she need to feel safe right now in this moment? So that way she can clear that shame and heal and move on and learn to feel safe, and learn to feel safe around those experiences again.
Definitely. I totally agree. And also, if you're like doing this kind of work on yourself, like notice the patterns that are showing up. Because that was a big thing for myself, where I'd be like triggered over here by something, and it's like, okay, like that doesn't make sense why I'm like so pissed off or mad or angry at this thing. Like it makes zero sense. It's just like a trigger of like something over here that's just like this
Mhm.
wound that's ready to be healed. And it's like, it's an open wound. So like, even if you like lightly touch it, it's like, so like,
Mhm.
it's anything in your life where you're like freaking out, where it doesn't make sense. Look at those patterns, like reflect on your life at those things and like start doing that work to heal it. And like inner child work, I completely agree. It's like so important and it can be scary, but it can also be super fun. Like I used to have a bunch of negative stories around inner child work being only hard. And I was like, I don't want to like talk to her because I've like shoved her in a room that's dark for forever. So she's obviously real pissed. And I don't want to
Right.
like deal with this right now. And what if it like breaks me and then like there's no one else to like put me back together? Those would be like the fears and the stories going through my mind. So like I luckily was like, okay, let's find another way to do this, and like was brought into the awareness of all these other people who were like, oh, here's a really like fun way child work and like do it in a gentle way. So there's really like gentle baby step ways. And then there's also been like the terrible ways where I've had like to go into it and like scream into a pillow and like cry my eyes out, where I'm like
Mhm.
just trying to focus on like breathing still because it's like releasing that energy from my body that's just not okay to be there anymore and like clearing that stuff away. So like there's like a big spectrum of the healing.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of different, there's so many different elements, but I think definitely step one is just identifying the pattern and identifying the shame and where it comes from. And also a big thing for me that I've learned over this past year when I started really diving deeper into the body shame and the sexuality is learning to make my body my friend and not my enemy. And
Yes.
really enjoying my body in a completely different way. Like using it as a vessel for pleasure.
Yes.
Remembering that that's what it's for. You're here to enjoy your body, not hate it all the time.
Yep.
Really just like starting to re-inhabit my body and letting it like tell me what it needs, letting it tell me what's going to make it feel good in this moment, and allowing it to have that instead of constantly making it the enemy and making it bad and punishing it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, I was a big punisher. So just really remembering that I am here on this planet to enjoy life and to enjoy my body and all that comes with that, and just exploring that part of me again that I had completely shut off.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and like that come also, I don't know, this just popped into my head, but the whole like good girl people pleaser thing. I think there's a lot around being a good girl and sexuality. It's like you can't be a good girl and be sexual the same. I used to have that thought, like it has to be one or the other. You either have to be this like sexy, powerful woman, or you have to be this like angelic, virginal good girl. Like you can't be both. And like I had to really break up with that story of like, no, I can be like a good person and still be sexual and powerful and beautiful and kind and compassionate. Like I can be all the things.
Yes.
I don't have to be one or the other. So yeah,
totally
so many things. I could talk about this like for hours and hours and hours. It's so hard to condense into, only 30 minutes.
I know, me too, but we could totally do other shows too. And I'm like feeling called to maybe do something like way longer with like all the women that I'm like connecting with who are doing all this like self-care women empowerment stuff. So like we'll see where the universe takes us for that.
Cool. I'm excited.
Like our body is like the most important relationship we can have with anything. And anyone who like says that it's selfish or like I don't have time to like heal this or work on me, it's like you're with yourself 24/7, 365. It's the most important relationship you have with yourself, because if you're only loving yourself at like 50-70%, like you're only able to give that out to others. Like you can't give what you don't have yourself. So like doing all this work, loving yourself, filling up your cup and making sure you're giving from that overflow is a whole new level of just joy and bliss and excitement in your life, that it fills you up to give and it doesn't deplete you to like try to like do all these things that you feel like you have to do and like be those good girl things or do those things that you have on your to-do list. And it's like crazy that especially with like media and stuff, like there aren't huge portrayals of like women who have it all, who do it all, who like can have that full spectrum. So it's awesome that more and more women are waking up to that. And there's the whole divine feminine movement being like, we can step into this. We don't need to live in the masculine world doing the masculine stuff all the time. We can step into our power and do what works for us.
Exactly. And I think that it's funny. Like I had said earlier, I just came off of a 2-week vacation, and I was just feeling like, sad yesterday that it was over. You get like those post vacation blues, and I was just feeling like just very like low energy, sad, all this stuff. And my mom had reached out to me and she wanted to have lunch, and I just, normally my people pleaser self would want to please her and want to like make her like not feel bad that I didn't want to have lunch, because I'm just, I want to get my life together. I'm just kind of tired, like I just feel very called to just like be still, because we've been going. So the people pleaser in me wanted to just please her and say, okay, yeah, I'll rearrange my schedule so we can have lunch. But I was like, I took a minute. I was like, you know what? No, I really don't want to. Like, I just want to be home, and I want to, do my laundry and just catch up on some stuff and just rest. Yeah. So I really was proud of myself that I recognized that I was kind of going into that pattern and said, like, stop myself and said, okay, this is what you're doing. Let's like, what do you actually want to do? Because like you said, when you're giving from a cup that's half empty, you just feel depleted. You feel resentful and angry. But if you're giving from overflow, then it's just like you feel like you can give and give and give, and it's okay because your cup is already full. So I felt like my cup was not full. So I couldn't give, and I really respected my boundaries and myself, and I said, like, not today, a different day, we'll go to lunch. So yay me. Yay me.
Yay, I love that. And that's a huge thing. Like, I never, like, there's so many things that I wish need to be taught to kids, and like that's a whole other thing too. But like checking into yourself is so important. It's like, how do I feel? What's my body need right now? Do I need some water? Do I need like to have a nap? Do I need to take more time to myself and do laundry? Or do I need to like go socialize because I haven't had that piece today? Or like there's so many things that we can like just numb out to, like just go and be doing things on our to-do list, or like being everything for everyone else. And like taking that time to go inward is so important, to be like, how does this feel? Is this making me feel more excited about my day and more peaceful and more loving? Or is it making me feel like, oh, another fucking thing to do? Like,
And I think that's so important for good girl people pleasers. I think that is such like a key thing for women who are like that, who just want to give and do and go for everybody. It's really like taking the time to stop and think, like, and go inward and ask your body, ask your soul, ask your mind, like, what do I need right now in this moment? What is going to make me feel good, so that way when somebody does need something from me, that I can give it and feel 100% good about giving it.
Yeah.
And not feel like angry and pissed off that I have to go do this other thing. And I don't really want to, but I don't want that person to be mad at me. So, like.
Yeah. I'm expected to. It's an obligation.
Right.
I did it before. I don't want them to be mad. All those.
I don't want them to be mad. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's so key for people who are good girl people pleasers.
I totally agree. And I'm going to check into the comments a little bit. And Robin had said, I was accused of just wanting attention. And so that's an example of like someone who wasn't ready to hold space and help you. So finding other people being important. And then Christy, who I know is a mom and has young kids, said, if someone could have helped you years ago as a child to prevent years of trauma, what could they have done?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about something along the lines of this for a while now. We're getting ready to start our own family, and I think about that. I mean, I know my parents did the best that they could with what they had, and they're not bad people. They love me. I know that, but they just were not emotionally equipped to handle what was going on. And unfortunately, one of the byproducts of that is that I just didn't get my emotional needs just were not met.
Right.
So I personally feel like to prevent trauma in your children, it's really about listening to them, like letting them know that they are safe, that they are loved, listening to them, and holding the space for them to feel however it is they need to feel. Because that was one thing I was never allowed to do. I was never allowed to feel anything. Right. You know, if I was upset or crying, I was a drama queen. You know, if I was, I don't know, whatever it was, like I was just never, like my mom would literally get mad at me for being upset and turn it around like, well, I'm dealing with this. And it's like, well, that's okay. Like I'm empathetic to the fact that you are dealing with this, but I'm still entitled to have my feelings and my emotions. So like validate that. I need that validated. So I think that for me personally, that would probably be the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I agree. And I feel like, especially if you're aware, so like Christy's very aware, I think it's very much about doing your own work as it comes up and then being okay to lean into your kid stuff. Like I love all of Brene Brown stuff, and she was like, there was different passages where, like, I'm not a mom yet, but I was like, okay, this is going to be an important thing to remember later, where her daughters were being made fun of or picked on or bullied for similar things that she was. So it was bringing up her stuff. And the exact same time that it was coming up for her daughters, and like highly recommend Brene Brown's books, but like being okay to just listen, like that validation, holding space for them and not like cutting them off and like saying, oh, it's not this, oh, it's not that, and creating your own stories around what it is instead of just letting them say what they have to say, holding that space. Like it's so important to hold that space for people to heal, because just like your signs, your intuition, asking them what they need, what they think they need, like those kind of things. So I definitely would recommend that. And then I wasn't sure exactly when that like question came in, but like for me personally, I remember telling someone, and I can't remember who, and I've like gone back to try to figure out who I've tried to tell, but I remember when I was molested, telling someone and it being told to me, well, like you're little and she's only a couple years older than you, and well, at least it wasn't a guy and the police probably aren't going to do anything. So like being told that, and I've gone back to like the different adults around at my age at that time, and like no one remembers it, so I don't know what happened with that, and I've let that go. But when that happens, not trying to invalidate it, like you were saying. So saying like, that's terrible that happened to you, and like getting help, like telling people and like finding resources to get help instead of just like brushing things under the rug, which I feel like unfortunately is a big thing that society tends to do, because it's easier to just like shut it down and move on and like suppress it. But like that suppression of everyone's feelings and like bottling stuff up, it like eats away at people for years. So whatever you can do to support your kids with whatever's going on, I would definitely recommend that. And then Christy said, I definitely let my kids cry and do listen as much as I can. And thank you. My mom did the same. I couldn't cry as a young girl. I was told not to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I think validating children's feelings is so important. So important. Like giving them the space to cry, to be angry, to be however they need to feel, to be excited, to be loud, whatever. Like being a mom is going to be a very interesting experience.
Yes, lots of learning.
Lots of learning. Like like you said, I feel like healing your own stuff is so important. Yeah. So important for any relationship, but especially for your kids. I mean, like you said, I know that my kids are going to come home from school and they're going to bring home stuff that I went through that I feel like crunchy around, and I'm going to be like, so it's so important for me to heal it so I could be a clean, energetic vessel to just hold that space for them and not like project my stuff onto them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then also you changing your vibration around it, you raising your standards of life will make it so that some things just won't fucking happen in the reality. Like, I love that there's things that I've healed in my reality that has gone back and healed different ancestral layers and will it will end with me. Like, there are certain standards and things in my life that just will never be lower ever. So like, I'm doing the work now, not just for myself, but for my daughter and my granddaughters and like everyone else, because it's huge change, and like all the women are feeling so called to doing this kind of work right now. So like, it's a big global shift happening with like that divine feminine energy and women empowering women and just deciding that we deserve to shine our light and speak up and really heal on such deep levels. So like, doing that work for yourself is probably the most impactful thing you can do right now.
Yeah, love that.
Awesome. And then Robin said that she grew up with a perfectionist mom and tried for years to be a people pleaser and decided enough was enough. Enough is definitely
I hear you, girl. There comes a time at a point where you're just like, I remember one day just being like, I am never going to make her happy. Like, no matter what I do, it's just never going to make her happy. So why not just set some boundaries for myself so that I can be happy? Yes. Because trying to please her all the time is not getting me anywhere.
Yeah. Totally agree. Awesome. So that releasing shame around sexuality exercise, do you want to pop into that energy next? So everyone, I want you to like completely let go of anything else. I know sometimes people watch the replays with other stuff. I totally do that with like podcasts or audibles, and I'm like doing other stuff in the background. So take like 5 minutes to yourself right now. You deserve this to really just like feel the energetic shift of letting this go. You don't deserve to be holding on to these like limiting beliefs or blocks, bullshit stories anymore. So let's just like take some deep breaths and time for yourself to really clear this so that you can move forward being a better version of yourself right now. Take it away, Jen.
Awesome. So you can do this with anything. It could be around sexual shame. It could be around anything that you're feeling shame about. So the first step is to identify the beliefs around your body and your sexuality. And the best way I think to do this is to get a journal and to just write. Like write and write and write and write. Don't think about it. Don't correct yourself. Just write until literally you could feel it all like come up and out. And you'll feel like when it's all out, it'll feel like it's complete. So you'll know it's done. So just write and write and write and write around all of the beliefs, all of the stories, all the negative thoughts you have around your body and your sexuality. So that's step one. And then step two is to forgive yourself for buying into the misunderstanding that sex is bad, that it's shameful, that your body's shameful. It's just a misunderstanding. You didn't do anything wrong. Nothing is your fault. There's nothing to be ashamed of. So just forgiving yourself for believing those thoughts. Number three is reframe your thoughts. So what do you want to believe about your sexuality, your body, men? I've been doing a lot of healing work around the masculine energy, healing that wound. So what do you want to believe about all of these things? What would you like to believe instead? And then number four is my favorite one. This is the practical one. This is the universe giving you opportunities at every turn to practice this, as it always does. Yes. And that's to choose to see it differently. So look around and start collecting new evidence to support this new story that you want to believe around your body, sexuality, men, whatever it is for you, and make a conscious effort to see it differently. So this for me has been coming up a lot, and actually the universe gave me like a huge opportunity to do this the other day. And I've been really practicing this, choosing to see men differently, because I've had a lot of trauma around men, and I've been working really hard to release that trauma and to heal that wound. So Whenever I'm out in public by myself, I always have this kind of like fear around men and like being afraid, like something's going to happen to me. Like I don't feel safe. So the other day I was going to an event and I was all dressed up, hair, makeup, the whole nine. And I had to go into the grocery store. And of course, I'm online waiting to pay, and it's men around me everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity, because normally I would like put my head down and I would like start sweating. I would get anxious. I would be like, hurry up, I just want to get out of here. But I just took a deep breath and I looked around and I noticed men paying attention to me, and I chose to say to myself, they're looking at you because you're a beautiful woman. You are desirable. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with being desired. You are safe. And I just kept saying that to myself, and I immediately felt my energy shift from like this kind of like victim, tense, anxious, scared energy to just like calm. And I felt just like wanted. I felt desired. I felt beautiful. So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And the universe sends you these opportunities all the time. You just have to be open to seeing them and to practicing them in the moment.
Definitely. And I feel like that's really important. And I feel like that's been coming up a lot in some of my conversations recently, is that it is an opportunity. I love that you called it that. And I'm totally going to start using opportunity, because some people feel like it's like tests, like the universe is like testing you and the universe is against you. But I love to look at it as in that you're always taught something before you need it, that you're always being guided, and like the journey's already been laid out for you, and all the things you need to learn are there. So before you're like needing it, you get to learn it. So it's not like this test to see how good you learn that lesson. It's like the universe is supplying you. It's working for you to make sure that you're like being protected and safe in all those different situations. So I love that you said an opportunity. I'm totally going to use that now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I do believe it's an opportunity. I think it's always an opportunity to just practice. To practice these things that we're learning and that we're implementing.
Definitely. Very cool. So yeah, definitely, if you're watching the replay, pause and take time to actually do all those steps. If you're on with us live, if you didn't catch any, then definitely go back to the replay and watch, and make sure that you like take time to release this stuff from you, because you'll be like surprised how much space that's energetically holding in your life, and like how much more free and peaceful and joyful you'll be on the other side of releasing it and letting it go, because it doesn't serve any purpose any longer. You've learned the lesson from it. You're done. If you're repeating that pattern over and over, this is definitely the universe being like, do this work now.
Yeah.
So how can people connect with you after the show, Jen?
Sure. You can find me on Facebook, Jen Csajko, Csajko. I know it's a crazy last name. You can follow me there. You can follow me on Instagram, same thing, at Jen Csajko. I'm always, posting some really good content. Sharing stories of my life, things that I'm learning. Like, I'm very open on the book. I
love it.
I share a lot of things, sometimes maybe
super inspirational, guys.
Yeah, so it's like a mix of sharing what I'm learning and also like some practical stuff as well. So definitely follow me on those two things. You can also check out my website, jennifercsajko.com, for an opportunity to work one-on-one with me. If that's something you feel called to do, definitely go check that out too.
Awesome. And can you put it in the comments right after the show so they can just click on it?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Sounds good. And a couple more people were commenting. So Patty said, our parents only used the tools they had at the time. No blame, just different eras. And I totally agree. Yep. And like,
no
same
blame
thing for us. Like, we'll like have kids, and then they'll be looking back at the things that we like taught them or did a way that they wouldn't do now. Like, it's just a continual process of being a little bit better and a little bit better. And not like striving for that perfection, or like not doing anything because it's not going to be perfect yet. Like, I used to have that belief where I'm like, I need to make the world way better now before I even have kids. And then I'm like, that's really, really controlling. And let's like go over my control issues. Right. It's just being aware that we're learning lessons, and that we're here to learn lessons, and that it's never going to be perfect, and that we can just let go of that and be like, there's things that I just need to heal without assigning blame, without being that victim, being empowered by being like, oh, this is popping up for me. The universe is like, hey, let's heal this thing so that I can be happier now. And then Robin was totally agreeing. Exactly, Jen. We got lots of love and thumbs up. Very cool. So thank you guys for watching the Love and Light show, and I encourage you to tune in to it every Monday at 1 Atlantic, 12 Eastern, and 9 Pacific, and make it a weekly habit in your life so that you can continue to be the best version of yourself and show up as the brightest and best version of you. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Jen, for your time and for sharing all of your wonderful wisdom with us today, and I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend, and I'm sending you guys lots of love and light. Bye.